So a lot of people do not think with their brains, and I'm going to tell you why, and then we will discuss and also have a crazy rant about it. So get your hats ready, guys, because this is going to be a really interesting video. Let's get this video started, and let's get it done and out of the way. Catch 'em all. So, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are officially have been 100% fully released. And there's actually been quite a bit of people who don't really, like I stated in the beginning of the video, that really don't use their brains or think really smart at all whatsoever. And I have actually am in quite a few, several gaming groups on Facebook, whether if it's gamers that play all platforms, including myself, and some that are just Xbox gaming groups, PlayStation gaming groups, Nintendo gaming groups, and then games themselves like Red Dead Redemption and this game, for an example, basically just the online portion of it, in their own groups on Facebook. Well, a lot of gamers in those groups that I am supposedly in supposedly think that you should only play your next gen consoles and that's all you should honestly have, supposedly in their minds. You should not go back and play your PlayStation 4, your Xbox One, or hell, even your Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 or Wii U or even the original Wii consoles, like flat on, like that's all they think that what you should do. And they think that they should get mad at you and be like, bruh, why are you playing those consoles? Why, bro? Like, why? And they just don't really get it. But I am going to basically give you guys all the reasons as to why I still, like, technically right now primarily play on my PlayStation 4 Pro and my Xbox One X, as well as a lot of people out there that still do, that even got their hands on the next gen consoles. So the first reason, and this is not a giant reason, but it's still a really, really important one to basically consider, is that a majority of your friends do not have the next gen consoles and did not get them, and probably won't even get them for at least another good year or two, or possibly 3 years at the most. And that that one really ain't like a superior like reason or whatnot, but it's still a really, really important reason as to why a lot of people are still going to game on their PlayStation 4 and their Xbox One. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people know that you can do that with your PS5 and Xbox Series X, but we'll get to the second reason that also stops you from being able to basically play your PS4 games and and still be able to play with your friends on the PlayStation 5 with them still owning an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 console. And that second reason is that there's not enough storage. Literally, all you have inside of both the Series X and PS5, well, also the Series S as well. We'll start off with the Series S because it is probably the worst amount of storage that you could pretty much have on any console. Like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 had the same thing, but that was different back then when these consoles first came out. Games weren't as big. But I'll give you the list of how much the storage is on all three of those consoles. So the Xbox Series S comes into the lowest amount of storage that you can have on a next gen console with only 364 gigabytes out of the 512 gigabyte SSD that it has inside the Xbox Series S. Now, if it doesn't make, or it's not that much of a deal, it's not that big of a deal breaker, because with the games that we have, there's actually not that many, so it really wouldn't affect a lot of people. But as we get more into the future, when more games come out for the systems, it's going to be a pretty big deal once we get farther into the generation's life cycle. And the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 All Digital Edition have the exact same amount of storage, and the storage is 667 gigabytes out of the 500 or the 825 SSD storage that the PlayStation 5 consoles have. Now, this is not just with either the all digital or the 4K Blu-ray disc drive version PS5, it's with both versions of the PlayStation 5. And the digital version, it is $100 cheaper, so that is going to be a really big reason that is going to help digital sales go even more skyrocket, and physical sales are going to continue going down the drain a lot more. But yeah, but both versions of the PS5, whether if it's the digital or the disc drive version, they both have 667 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, that might actually sound pretty decent, especially for games, but when you think about it, it's really not that much, especially with how big games are becoming. You got Red Dead Redemption 2 that is 100 gigabytes on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, not the Series X and not the PS5, but the PS4 and Xbox One. And that's a good portion of your storage getting taken up. And there is rumors, and it's most likely true, it's going to happen, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is en route of coming to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X sometime here before long. And with it being 100 gigabytes right now just for on the PS4 and Xbox One, just imagine how big it's going to be. And this game also, GTA 5, this game is not quite 100 gigabytes, but it is very close to being up there. And Rockstar has already confirmed that this game is also coming to the PS5 and Series X. And they're doing a lot more with the graphics than what they did porting this game over onto the PS4 and Xbox One from the 360 and PS3. So it's going to be getting even more bigger. And especially if ray tracing gets enabled for this game, as well as it being able to maintain a 60 frames a second at 4K compared to 1080p at 30, you're looking at over 100 gigabytes for GTA 5 on the new systems. Now, the Series X. Now, this is probably the best console if you want the most storage to start out. The Xbox Series X, honestly, I will say is probably the best for storage because it's pretty decent, but still ain't quite enough. But the Series X has a total of 802 gigabytes out of the 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. So that's actually pretty decent, but still, that's really not that much storage to really look forward to. So the storage is one of the second reasons. Now, that is a pretty big reason, but now we're going to go with the third and final, and this is going to be the main big reason out of all, and that reason is there's just not many games right now out for the PS5 and Series X. The games that you only have is Watch Dogs Legion, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, which actually is not available yet for the PlayStation 5 and Series X, but soon will be, Madden NFL 21, and that's pretty much it, beside the exclusives on the PS5 side of things even though Xbox doesn't have none for right now at the moment. But the PlayStation 5 has Demon Souls Remake and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And that's all the games that you have. That might sound like a decent amount, but that's really not enough to basically consider you to basically just play the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, especially the Xbox Series X. And I know a lot of people are going to 100% completely agree on this, that there's just not very many games out right now for those consoles. So the first reason is a majority of your friends are still going to be playing on the 8th gen consoles. The second is not enough storage. And then the third and final main big reasons, and like I said, everybody's going to most likely agree, and there will be some that won't agree on this, is that right now there's just not many games right now for it because we just started this generation last month. By the time we get prices down on the storage and we get more storage for, or the, yeah, and we get more storage, like I said, I didn't know what I was saying there for a second, but yeah, when the prices go down on the storage and it's a lot more affordable compared to $200 for a 1 terabyte, which is completely outrageous. Nobody's not going to pay that much, at least for 1 terabyte. If it was a 2 terabyte SSD, that's a completely different story. But 1 terabyte, you're only looking at like holding like possibly around 5 games at the most with that, maybe 6 or 7. But 1 terabyte of storage for $220, that to me is completely outrageous. Now, if it was a 2 terabyte, like I said, that's a completely different story, and people would probably still wouldn't like that, but a lot more people would be fine with paying $200 some for 2 terabyte of storage, because then they could hold like over 20 games altogether, if not 30. Not on the 2 terabyte itself, but with including the internal storage and that 2 terabyte SSD, they'll be able to hold 20 or 30 games. But as for right now, I don't think storage is a much big of a deal right now because of, like I said, there ain't very many games right now. But storage will become one of the big main factors of next generation within the next year or two, and everybody's going to hope for the pricing. All right, so those are the reasons, and now it's time for the fun part, and it's going to be the rating part, and probably a lot of you are probably not going to like this, and some of you are probably going to basically give me thumbs up and probably are going to like this about what I'm about to say. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, people do not use their brains and do not think. And like I said, I'm in like several different gaming groups on Facebook, whether if it's Xbox gaming group, PlayStation gaming group, all platform gaming group, and whatever the case may be. And a lot of people personally think, because I've told a lot of people on those groups that on people's posts are saying, you know, what's the best game and da-da-da, like what's your favorite console, and you know, like people ask so many questions on there because there's like over thousands of people that are gamers that are in all those groups. And I've said in quite a few groups that I still primarily play on my PlayStation 4 Pro and my Xbox One X, especially as of right now. And I told them the main reasons is because a majority of my friends still only have either a PS4 or Xbox One or both, and the storage is another big factor, and the games is another big factor. And I'm telling you, a lot of people have been like seriously getting really angry and then just giving me their thoughts, not being angry, but some have, and it's completely ridiculous because they don't think. And they were saying, like, well, why don't you play on your PlayStation 5? Like, why are you going back playing those crappy consoles? Why? Dude, what is the big deal here? Why did you waste your money on that if you're going to continue playing it? And like I said, they don't think about, they just don't use their brains, like I said. Okay, I'm going to seriously start ranting right now, and now it is the time. Okay, so let me ask you all guys a really important question. All right. if I was supposed to be playing only my next gen console, okay, how come there's not many games for me to play? How am I supposed to play primarily a next gen console without games for it? Yeah, won't you tell me? You see, exactly how in the world are you supposed to primarily play, or at least play a majority of your time on a console that doesn't have many games for it? That's what I don't understand with people thinking that, oh, bro, you should only play on those consoles. Like, why'd you waste your money? It's because I bought the consoles on day one. Well, I pre-ordered them and got them on day one because I wanted to check them out and I want to get ready for owning them and to get games for when they come out for the future for the consoles. That's why I bought them. It doesn't mean just because you buy a console doesn't mean that, like, you should get rid of your PlayStation 4 or whatever last gen console, even if it PS4 just came out today, even though it's been out 7 years, and you still wanted to keep your PS3. It, like, people just don't use their brains. Like, and like I said, there's a lot of other people out there that are still going to continue playing their PS4 or Xbox Ones even after they bought a PS5 or a Series S or Series X, because they see that there still is thousands, if not, there are hundreds, if not thousands of games right now to play from. Like games like this game, for an example, even though it's coming out for the next gen consoles, but for right now, you can only play GTA 5 on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And games like Far Cry 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Spider-Man, the 2018 game for PS4, and God of War, also Uncharted 4. The list goes on and on for games that you can only play on the 8th gen consoles, and that's what people don't understand. Like, by the time in the next year or two comes, when we get more games and the expandable storages that the PS5 and Series X are supposed to have, when the price drops on them, then it's when a lot of people are going to start changing completely over to next generation. Like, I still right now play PS3 and 360 every once in a while. Because, you want to know why? Because there's games on those consoles that you cannot play on either of the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, even though the Xbox One is backwards compatible with a good majority of 360 titles. But there is some titles that you cannot play on the Xbox One that are not backwards compatible. Titles like the Madden NFL series, the WWE 2K series from the beginning and all the way to the old SmackDown vs. Raw, and Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, the original version of Skyrim, even though Skyrim is on Xbox One and PS4. But if you basically did have Skyrim for one of those consoles, especially the 360, and you got an Xbox One and you didn't want to rebuy it, well, guess what? You got the 360, so you can play it at any time. There is games that are not backwards compatible on the Xbox One and the Series X that you can literally only play on the 360 console itself. So, yeah. So, and I know a lot of people were thinking that before with the Xbox One, like, oh, bro, why would you go back and play your Xbox 360 if you can play those games on your Xbox One? Like, it doesn't make sense. And the list goes on, including the list that I just said, that is a list of games that you cannot play on the Xbox One that they did not add to the backwards compatible list, that you can only play them on the 360 console itself. And like I said, a lot of people just do not think with their brains. So, yeah. So how are we supposed to only play our PS5 and our Xbox Series X if there is not very many games for them and we do not have a decent amount of storage? And like I said, with external storages that they're going to have, we have with our external hard drives that we have like 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte. I understand you can play those and plug them into the PS5 and Series X and play your current Xbox One games and PS4 games, but you're not getting nothing that's really benefiting the next gen consoles unless you download the games to the internal storage to get the faster loading times, the smoother 60 frames per second and 30 FPS a second, and da 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 this. You're not getting no benefits with plugging in the external hard drives onto your PS5 or Series X and playing the Xbox One and PS4 games. It's just like you playing the console itself, so you're just better off to just them on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One and just play them off the main console that they were for, at least until the storage becomes more cheaper and people can able to get more storage for their consoles. That's honestly how I look at it. So those are the reasons as to why I still primarily play my PlayStation 4 Pro and my Xbox One X consoles, is because of those three reasons. One, not many friends have gotten a new system yet, only a couple have. Two, not very many games. And three, not enough storage as to right now. Well, there is technically a decent storage to hold you off right now, but not when we get more games in the future. It's not going to be enough storage. So, yeah. But that is basically the video that I pretty much had for you guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys could, hit a like if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe for those of you that are new to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any new video in the future and new content. And also comment down in the section down below of your thoughts if you think that this is really smart, and if you think that the PS4 and Xbox One, people still playing them, is actually the smart thing to do. So just send me down in the comment section down below of your thoughts of this video. Subscribe for those of you that are new. Hit a like, and we will be sure to keep you guys posted and catch you guys out on the next video. This is Infernal Shard 1 for the win, signing out. I will see you guys in the next one.